In this episode of EP Talks, Andre Wicks interviews Dr. Gina DiTullio, an experienced school administrator from New York. They discuss topics such as setting and prioritizing goals, creating a safe and supportive environment for students and staff, self-care for educators, and keeping staff motivated throughout the school year. Dr. DiTullio emphasizes the importance of data-driven decision-making, building trust in relationships, and taking care of oneself as a leader. She also provides advice for new and veteran principals. Overall, the conversation highlights the complexities and challenges of the principalship role and offers practical insights for educational leaders. Inform, influence, inspire. Welcome back to the EP Network. This is Andre Wicks, founder CEO of Everyday Principal. This is EP Talks, and we have the truly great fortune of getting to have a conversation with Dr. Gina DiTullio coming from the East Coast. This is awesome. We've had a few West Coast conversations. We're taking it East, and we're going to learn from our East Coast friends. So quickly, Gina, I want to kind of run through. I've been checking out your stats on LinkedIn. And so I'm looking through, and I've seen that you've been published multiple times in Edutopia. It looks like you have an article published in, is it the Kappan magazine?
Yeah, Kappan magazine. Yeah.
Yep.
That was in 2014.
Yeah. You've had a couple long-term stints as an administrator, once as an assistant principal, 10 years, and then currently, are you starting your 6th year?
I am.
All right. So Rochester City School District in New York. So welcome, Gina.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So as usual, so all of our listeners know, the people that are listening, you're administrators. You know the life of a busy administrator. Gina and I probably should have clicked record before we actually started recording because some of the good stuff happens before and after the recorded conversation. But Gina is getting ready to kick off the school year here in the next few days, and there's lots of prep work to be done, it sounds like, in your building. But because of the busyness, we like to keep the conversations brief. You know, this is something that you can listen to even on your commute to and from work. If you're lucky enough to have a couple minutes during the school day, who knows? Maybe this is something that you could consume then. But we try to be cognizant of that. And so we keep it brief. We have 4 questions that we're going to try to get through today. And I have the first one ready for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome. Okay, so as we've already alluded to, the principalship is super complex. And the first thing that I wanted to ask you is, how do you set and prioritize goals each year when there's so many things that you could focus on at any given time?
So obviously, safety is always the first priority for any principal. So that's always at the top of our list. Where instruction is concerned, the way we typically identify what our goals are is by using our data. So we use multiple data points to kind of take a look at how the kids are doing, where are they doing well, right? Where are the gaps? And then we have conversations about, why is this happening, and what is the possible problem of practice that we can address that would help the students learn better. And then going from there, we establish our instructional priorities using research and what does the research have to say about what best practice is to address this particular issue. So, and then, from there, you just kind of have to be flexible, I think, as a principal, where, and we were having this conversation before we recorded, is that things are constantly coming at you out of left field, right? Just things are constantly changing, and you just have to You have to be flexible and learn how to like, okay, we're reprioritizing now. This thing is now at the top of my list.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, just trying to manage it all and be flexible. And obviously, the top of my priority list is always safety and student instruction.
Yeah, safety and security. It's kind of funny that if you are a building principal, safety security is an easy number one. If you're not a building leader, if you're not in K-12 ed, if you're an outsider looking in, obviously the things that we report to the state on every single year are growth and instruction and student achievement. But as you said, putting students in the best environment
Hmm.
to um, to accomplish as much as possible really comes down to, do the students feel secure?
Right. And
Um,
when especially at the elementary level, and this should be the same for middle and high school as well. But when we talk about safety, when I talk about safety, I'm talking about the physical safety,
right.
but I'm also, in mind, keeping in mind that there's emotional safety that comes with that as
Ooh,
well, right? We want our kids to be able to come in here and be emotionally in a place where they know that they're loved, they're supported by their teachers, they're in a place where people are going to be kind to them. If they're having a bad day, they're not going to get in trouble, but there's going to be somebody who's there to support them and help them work through those big emotions that they might be feeling.
yeah. Something that you're talking about right now, we're gonna take our first tangent, but I think it's worthwhile. Um, is the idea of safety, and I love that you bring up physical safety, obviously, but more and more, conversations in K-12 ed are around social emotional learning, social and emotional intelligence. I think a word that we have become accustomed to in terms of the relationships that adults have professionally amongst each other is a matter of trust.
Hmm.
But if you really, kind of unpack that down to, the most basic need, it really is around safety. And
Hmm.
so as you were talking, I'm thinking about, how much um, to the degree of success we have at seeing students achieve at high levels in certain things really comes down to how well the adults in the building are able to model that. And I
Hmm.
think the same thing is true with this idea of safety. As a building principal, we have to be able to set the conditions for our staff to feel equally as
Hmm.
emotionally safe, to feel safe to take risks, to feel safe that, to be authentic and transparent.
Right.
So talk to me a little bit about that with you and your staff. What are some things that you do to create safety for your staff?
So the year that I was hired was COVID. 2019 I was hired, and then we all vacated the building. So it took me a little while to kind of establish myself here as a trusted administrator, because there's a strong union presence in this district as well, and I think sometimes people feel like administration is the enemy, and really so it took me a while to go from them feeling like I gotcha to I've got you,
Mhm.
right? And so I think we're kind of getting to that point now where it's not a gotcha, it's a I've got you, right? I'm here, I'm going to support you. If things are rough, we can talk about it. Yeah, I'm going to hold you to high expectations, but I'm also going to help you get there. So those relationships, and I think a lot of it was just time and persistence, and you you change hearts and minds by your actions more so than by your words, right? So being present for them, being there when they're in crisis, but also instructionally showing up and saying, I love this. Let's talk about how I can help you with this.
Yeah, no, I think that's for all of you that are listening, um, and maybe not watching, depending on which platform you're engaging with this podcast. That inflection between gotcha and I gotcha is so critical.
I love that. I love that. And it does take time. Like you said, it takes consistency and authenticity to build trust and to build safety. So it's great. It's great that I'm sure that your staff appreciate, within the 5 years that you've been there, that you have been consistent, that you have been
Mhm.
authentic.
And
Um,
moving, making some changes too, moving to more of a shared governance models, having teachers. I had an instructional leadership team here. There were no teachers on it. I was like, why are there no teachers on this team? They're the ones who have to do the work. How are their voices not present here? Right.
yeah,
So then just making some small changes too and letting them know that, like, I value you, I value your input, I understand how hard your job is. Like, I used to do it, so I get it.
yeah,
Right. And how can we engage more in distributed leadership? So every year I'm trying to get them more and more involved in that leadership piece.
yeah. It reminds me of the striking resemblance of that instructional team that didn't have teachers on it. It's kind of like, duh, right? And how many, how often we're making decisions on behalf of students without student voice, and
Hmm.
how critical that is. Um, but the next thing that I wanted to have you talk about, um, kind of along those same lines of, I got you, from the nurturing, kind of caring place, is that K-12 educators are notorious for neglecting themselves. They pour everything, their entire identity is wrapped up in being an educator. They spend the long hours, they don't take care of themselves. And so, what I wanted to know is, as a building leader, what are some of the things that you do to take for self care?
Not enough. I don't do enough. Honestly, that is definitely something I need to work on this year. I have made a commitment to do that. I am kind of notorious for working 10 to 12 hours a day. Um, but and then just constantly being at work. And my husband always says, "Oh my gosh, I don't know any principals that work harder than you." But that's because, we care so much, right? As principals, like, this is important work that we do. So this year, I'm going to attempt to do better with self care and leave the building at a normal hour, at least 2 to 3 days a week, and try to get back into some good exercise routines and definitely find ways to de-stress because if I'm not at my best, I can't lead them either. And this summer with all the construction has really reminded me of how important that self care piece is.
That's no kidding.
So yes, most
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, I can appreciate that. Honestly, it's like, I think some listeners, depending on how you responded, if you would come back with, oh my gosh, I do this, and, you know, I take a 10-day vacation every year. It's like, wow, that's not very realistic. There's almost something endearing about the fact that your response is not enough. But this is what I hope to do this year. And it's funny, I'm asking you this question and kind of, almost hoping that you have some recommendations for me because it's oftentimes I don't take very good care of myself either. I can't tell you how many times I get, to 3:30 and I realize I haven't even taken a drink of water yet today. Why do I have a headache?
Yes,
Why am I
yes.
so, why am I dragging so much? And it's like, man, you have to, carry some snacks in your pocket, keep a water bottle in hand. I love um, you know your uh, your New Year's resolution, your new school year's
Hmm.
resolution to leave at a decent hour, make sure you're getting enough sleep, and as we're kind of unpacking this idea of self care, it doesn't have to be extravagant things. Most of us aren't even meeting our own basic needs. So
Right,
if we can start there,
right.
that's a great place to start.
Right. I love that you said that. Like, it's there are days literally where I'm like, it's 3 o'clock. Did I eat my lunch today? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I've been so busy, I can't even remember if I fed myself.
No, that's true. I was just
Um,
joking with my office manager the other day, because when you get to the end of the quarter or semester, and your office manager sends out the very politically correct email that says, if you have anything in the refrigerator, it's going to be disposed of over break. It's like, man, I know you're sending that email to me, because most of the stuff that's in there that isn't good anymore is probably mine,
yeah,
my
yeah.
leftover lunches. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay, moving on. Let's move to question 3.
All
And
right.
the third question that I have for you today is how do you keep your staff motivated past the honeymoon phase of the beginning of each school year? Staff come back, and I have my staff and the students and everybody's coming back in the building. School hasn't started yet. Spirits are high. How do you maintain that momentum as long as possible?
Well, it can be challenging, especially uh, depending on the school year. I think, first and foremost, we talked about this already, ensuring that the staff know that I genuinely care about them as people and professionals is helpful, right? So that if they have things that are coming up that are barriers to them being able to do their best work or bring their best selves, that we can have a conversation about it and I can help them through it. And if that means that they need to take some time and deal with their family stuff or whatever, that they know they can come talk to me about that. Um, Beyond that, just I try to do little things for them. Like I bought lunch for them when we had like a Taco Tuesday, and just every now and then I'll one year for Valentine's Day I got little chocolates and wrote handwritten thank you notes to every staff member. Took me forever, but it was,
And
but
well,
those are like, just, I appreciate you. Like, I see you, I appreciate you. And just whenever I can. The other thing that, helps a lot is visiting classrooms often and leaving that celebratory feedback. I don't do that enough. I know that I don't do that enough because as leaders, we're always looking for the problems that we have to fix, I think, right? I know that I do get, I definitely kind of fall into the trap of that deficit thinking sometimes. Um, but really, again, my New Year's resolution is to definitely get in and do more of that, where I'm leaving, hey, I loved what I saw. This is great. Keep up the good work kinds of, um, feedback for them, because I think we all need to know what we're doing well. We all like that. Like, that's a good little dopamine hit for them.
yeah,
So,
yeah. No, it is. And I love how, you take the time to recognize and celebrate. I think that it's easy to get caught up in the minutia, isn't it?
mhm.
And it's easy to just, allow your mind to go, like you said, from fixing one problem to the next, to the next, to the next, and overlook, the recognitions and celebrations that you could be making. So thank you for paying attention to that. I'm sure that your staff appreciate it too. Yeah,
Yeah, they definitely do. And again, I know that that's something that I want to do more of next year.
yeah.
So,
No, that's good. That's good. You mentioned something in your response that is actually our school mantra, and it's all day, every day, becoming my best self. And one thing that I think is important for school leaders and teachers to recognize is that becoming your best self, first of all, is a never-ending process. Until you're in the grave, you're always on that path of becoming your best self. But one thing that's important to remember is that because it's a process, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a forward-facing process all the time. That a process by nature, there's forward and backward movement. There's ebb and there's flow to that. And one thing that our district is focusing on this year, we have a doctor and author from Yale that we're working with that's written the book Permission to Feel. And it's one of those things where, K-12 educators, because there's so much identity wrapped up in what we do and who we are, there's this phenomena called teacher or leader guilt that exists. And it's like, if we aren't grinding 100% all the time, something is wrong or something's wrong with us. And it's like, no, it's okay to have a bad day and admit it, right? It's okay to have this problem, but let's fix it, right? And understanding the continuum of that process, I think, kind of helps put it into perspective. So that's my hope for you and your staff this year is just having or gaining that perspective of the process and giving yourself grace and permission to experience the struggle with a commitment to make it through the struggle. Yeah. Okay. What's the time we're at? We're just at like 20 minutes. I can't believe it's been 20 minutes already. This has been awesome. But this is going to be our closer today. And I'm wondering if you were going to share one sage piece of advice for a principal to either stop doing, to keep doing, or to start doing, what would that be?
So experienced principal or new principal?
You decide.
Either or.
Surprise us.
So I would say for a new principal, I'll give you both then. For a new
Okay.
principal, I would say it's lonely at the top. You really need a colleague that you can talk to, somebody preferably in your district who knows what your struggles are and who you feel comfortable venting to or problem solving with, or just, somebody who could be a good thought partner when you're trying to sort some things out. You can't, because of confidentiality, obviously you can't always talk to people in your building, or sometimes you can't even tell your AP things, but so it's good to have a colleague that you can share with. My husband gets tired of being that person, so who has to hear all my problems and help me solve them. So it's good to have a colleague for sure who can be a good thought partner and a support to you, and who really understands what you're going through. For a veteran principal, I think for personally, I think it's hard. We take a lot on and we take it very personally. Like, I know I take this job very personally. It's heavy, it's a big job, and everything that we do here, if things go well, they'll say it's, you may get the credit, maybe not, right?
Great
Oh, that
job,
building's
staff.
right. Oh, that's just a great building. It runs itself, right? That's what they usually say. But when things go bad, you definitely get the blame. So I would say we need to, going back to the self-care piece, I think we need to take better care of ourselves, do more self-care. Like, it's okay to turn off your email at night and not look at it anymore at a certain time, and just be unavailable sometimes, because, or just be with your family. It's okay to turn it off sometimes. And I think we should do that more often, where I'm just not available.
Yeah, no, I think that is great advice. We talked about earlier in the conversation just about how important it is for us to model certain things. And when you think about, as a building leader, you're under the microscope all the time. Someone somewhere is always watching you. And if we can agree that that's true, that means you're kind of always modeling something, whether you're intending to model it or not. Someone is watching and perceiving your choices and your behavior as something. So I love that advice of, take your job seriously, but don't take it too seriously, right? Model turning turning off work and turning on the rest of life, because what you do in that is you also invite your staff to do the same thing, and you want your
Mhm.
staff to take care of themselves too. So no, that's great advice. Thank you. I'm going to try that tonight. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, good luck with that. I know with in a construction year, it's hard for me to turn off as
Yeah,
well, but I
yeah,
think I might have to do the same thing this evening.
yeah, for sure. Well, that's it. It's a wrap. It went by fast. I know that anyone that listens or re-listens to this episode is going to walk away with something of value that they can put into action right away, that's going to amplify the work that they're doing as a building leader. So, Gina, I just want to thank you one more time for being part of EP Talks. Who
Of course.
knows? Maybe sometime a little bit later down the road, when the hammers and saws are put away, we can have you back on the show and share a little bit more of your wisdom with us.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
You bet. The EP Talks podcast is brought to you by Everyday Principal, the leading learning management system for school administrators. EP Talks is one product in the suite of assets Everyday Principal has to offer. Other products include EP Collaborate and EP University. For more information how Everyday Principal can inform, influence, and inspire learning for you and your school district, contact us today at everydayprincipal.com.